Here's something very interesting from Mark Nixon. The biggest scandal in Canada, Mark Carney is getting classified briefings on Trump's tariffs. The catch, he's never been elected. No seat, no votes, no accountability. Trudeau is rigging the game. Canadians should be outraged. This allows him to go out and behave as if he's the prime minister already. Even though nobody has voted for him, he's not an MP. They just helicoptered him in and said, this is the guy. It all feels very crooked to me. It all seems like such a bad idea, to just bring in the technocrat, globalist, net zero, eco freak, progressive, pro-woke, central banker, Mark Carney. The parallel with Kamala, I mean, I really do think there's something to this, right? He is basically a skin suit for the liberal establishment. I mean, in fact, he's been advising Trudeau since 2020. And you better believe that he carried a lot of weight. What he said carried a lot of weight with Trudeau. You better believe he's had a lot to do with the policies that have wrecked Canada, particularly with the energy sector. So I see a lot of parallels there with Kamala, right? He's just being forced. He's being forced on the Liberal Party, and they're hoping they can force him on the Canadian people. He's also a terrible politician, just like Kamala. He's not good at it. Let's take a look here.
He is a private citizen. He is not elected to anything, and he is getting confidential briefings from the government of Canada on the trade tariffs. Is Chrystia Freeland getting that? Is Ruby Dahl getting that? Or Frank Bayless? I highly doubt it. So there are questions, I think, that have to be raised about the ethics of a private citizen who's never been elected to anything getting this type of access.
Sure.
And it's clear like liberals, PMO and others seem to be in the bag for Mr. Carney.
Well, I wasn't dismissing your concerns about his financial loans. I was just explaining to the audience that because he's not elected, there's no compliance he has to have with the ethics commissioner. What level of detail he's getting from which ministers is a very interesting question. I would agree with you because we've asked it too.
Well, it allows the media to present him as if he's already the prime minister. And I think that's the game that's being played. From GM Forbes, the CBC aired Mark Carney's entire 36-plus minute press conference this morning uninterrupted. They showed none of the leader of the official opposition, Pierre Poilievre's press conference on Sunday morning. Nope, no bias. Yeah, they just interpret what he said in some negative framing. It's the same in every Western country. It's not just the States, right? It's every Western country. It's the same. That's why the CBC needs to be defunded. Here's former British Prime Minister Liz Truss on Mark Carney. So I've already showed another video, but she's getting out and letting people know that be very wary of Mark Carney. He's not good for your country or your well-being.
Former British Prime Minister Liz Truss, please tell us about the UK's experience with Mark Carney.
Well, Mark Carney was governor of the Bank of England. He was also a leading proponent of net zero policies, including at COP26, which was held in Glasgow. And during the last 20 years, British economic policy has not been a success. We saw too much money printing from the Bank of England, so-called quantitative easing, which led to very high levels of inflation and economic stagnation. But the net zero agenda has been a disaster for our country. And I tried to reverse that as Prime Minister by getting rid of the fracking ban. What I found was that the bureaucracy, including the Bank of England, had become so ideologically motivated by those policies, it proved impossible for me to achieve that.
They have the most expensive electricity costs in Europe because of the policies, the net zero policies that Mark Carney pushes and advocates for, and has great influence with things like banks, for instance, in terms of investment in energy projects. Let's see. Pierre Poilievre said, carbon tax Carney devised Trudeau's plan to tax your food, punish your work, and double your housing costs for years. He's been advising him since 2020. He is Trudeau's economic advisor. He's just like Justin he is. They're the same person. They're the same person. They're going to put a new face on the same policies. It should be obvious. And my prediction is that under Carney, the Liberals will lose worse than if they just kept Justin Trudeau, because at least Justin Trudeau has the Trudeau cult, the Trudeau cult of personality, that
small fringe minority
that's actually enthusiastic to go out and vote for hair and teeth. Carney has no charisma. They're not going to be able to build a cult of personality around him, right? He's going to be handicapped by the fact that he can try and put a new face on the same stuff, but it's just simply not going to work. It's not going to work for those people who've already made up their mind that they need actual, real change and to stop the insanity. So what's going on here? Mark Carney, just like Justin Trudeau before him, is campaigning against Trump.
Well, America engages in a war on woke. Canadians.
Okay. While America engages in a war on woke, he is guaranteeing that he will not win the next election whenever it is. Okay. Those people that, 40 to 45% of Canadians that have decided they're going to vote Conservative, okay, that is not going to change their minds. That's going to reinforce their decision. Right? Woke is on the run. The wrong time to be embracing wokeism, Mark Carney. But the thing is, he is a progressive, insulated from the consequences of the things he advocates for and his policies, and he's in a bubble. So he doesn't understand. This will go over well at his next dinner party he's at, but it's not going to go well for an election. I do not believe.
Well, America engages in a war on woke. Canadians will continue to value inclusiveness.
Well, what does that mean? Like, no white men? That's apparently what inclusiveness means. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.